TIFU, I fell asleep in the bathtub. So I have the flu and a bunch of mini issues that came with that: ear infection, nausea, headaches, etc. So for the first time in a very long time I decided I was gonna soak in a bath. I have like 3 bath bombs in the back of my bathroom cupboard I've had for maybe about 2 years because I usually shower not bathe, and I decided I wanted to use the glittery peach one. To my horror and apparently my husband's, that peach glitter bath bomb is neither peach nor glittery but the closest red I've seen to blood. I'm soaking and I knock out. I must be a shallow breather? From what I was told, I was faced away from the door, and the way my hair draped down made me look as though I was face down in the water. I'm a very heavy sleeper. I have like 20 morning alarms to wake up and still tend to get up late, so my husband touching my leg didn't wake me up, nor did his scream. And apparently my skin felt ice cold. My brother-in-law runs and starts freaking out, running back to find his phone, and my husband tries to grab and hold me. I imagine this was very dramatic. And in that process my head goes under the water for a second and I pop up because I got water in my nose. I'm confused as to why my husband is crying. My brother-in-law runs back and thanking God, and husband is trying to find where the blood was coming from. I'm obviously terrified by the audience while I am but naked in this bath. And as if it couldn't get worse, I was asleep so long the bubbles were gone, so I was just exposed. I yelled at them to get out and just stood up and showered. Definitely not a fan of this situation. Gonna stick to showers. Gonna avoid my BIL for the rest of my life. TLDR. Took a bath. Bath bomb made water look bloody. Fell asleep, woke up to a grieving husband and BL. TIFU, by lying to my wife for 13 years. My wife hates orange and lime flavored candies. I love them. Well, love the orange like the lime. So she passes on the orange Starburst to me. She passes the orange and green Skittles to me. She passes the orange and green gummy bears to me. This has been happening for 13 years. What she doesn't know is that the green Haribo gummy bears are actually strawberry. Shortly after we married, for one reason or another, I looked at the back of the Haribo gummy bears package and discovered this. So I haven't said anything for 13 years. Every time we get gummy bears, she gives me the orange and green strawberry. I've never said a word. I've enjoyed eating my little eyes. Until last night. We had some gummy bears and she opened them and she started to hand me the orange and green ones. But after a few minutes, I saw her looking at the back of the bag. Then I saw her eyes get real big. She turned to me and asked if I've known that the green bears were strawberry. She always thought they were lime. I was honest and nodded my head yes. The look of betrayal was unreal. She asked how long I've known, and I was honest. I told her as long as we've been married. She quit giving me the gummy bears she didn't like. She was even eating the orange ones out of spite. I don't think I'll get any more gummy bear discards after this. Time to buy my own. Edit. We don't eat these every day. A few times a year at most. I don't just get the rejects. It's a shared bag. Whenever she grabs a few, she would pick out the orange and green and hand to me. Just like I would give the pineapple to her, bleh. TLDR, I never corrected my wife by telling her she gave me strawberry gummy bears. She thought they were lime. Now she knows and is spite eating my favorites. TIFU, by asking a MILF for her number. So I was at the mall with my son, who's a toddler. Anyway, my son was playing really well with this little girl. Like they were 2 peas in a pod playing together, just having a blast. I'm a big dude, lot of people say I look scary type look. Anyway, my son is playing, I'm eating my lunch, and I decide I need to figure out who this girl's parents are. I figure it out, she's apparently a hot mom. So I walk up and go, hey, our kids are playing together, maybe I can get your number and we can set up a play date. She looks at me and goes, married? I was thinking that's nice. My son wants to play with your daughter, so I said, me too, my wife would love to meet you, our kids are playing well together, do you want to set up a play date? At that point her husband walls up and she goes, this guy is asking for my number after I told I'm married. At this point I'm thinking fuck it, not worth it. I apologize and sit down and wait for my son to finish playing. DR son was playing with a little girl, tried to get the girl's parents' info so we could set up a play date. Her mom thought I was trying to pick her up. TIFU, by telling the maintenance man what I do for a living. So this isn't really a huge fuck up, but kind of a funny / incredibly cringy story. I recently moved into a new apartment and was having trouble with my washing machine, so the maintenance man came over to take a look. I happened to have my work computer open, and as he was leaving he saw I was working in an Adobe program. He asked what I do for a living and I told him I'm a graphic designer. He immediately got very excited and asked if I could hold on while he went to grab his phone. My first thought was that he was going to ask if I could make something for him, which is something I'm used to, but instead he comes back and starts explaining that his daughter is currently going to school for graphic design. I said that's awesome, and he asked if I could do him a favor and wait a moment while he called her. I said yes. This is where things got messy. There was already a bit of a language barrier going on because he isn't fluent in English, so I wasn't really able to ask why he wanted to call her, but I assumed he was just oddly excited to tell her he had met another graphic designer. Not the case. What he actually wanted was for me to speak with her. Background info: I'm a recent college graduate myself and have only been in the field for a couple years. I'm also very socially awkward. He calls her, says some things in Spanish that I assume was something along the lines of "I met someone who's a graphic designer," and then he proceeds to hand me the phone. Thrown off guard, I reluctantly take it, and on the other end is a very confused girl who sounded about the same age as me and was definitely fluent in English. We both had no idea what was happening. I don't know what her father thought we were going to discuss, but the exchange that followed was a series of awkward hellos and mumbled confusion as I tried to ask what he wanted me to say to her. He just kept gesturing and saying, "Talk with her," but I wasn't prepared or comfortable talking about a job I'm new to myself, and it was obvious from her voice that she was also uncomfortable. So I just said I'm sorry and gave the phone back. Her father seemed to finally realize he had created a very uncomfortable situation, thanked me, and then left. I'm still cringing at how awkward I was. TLDR. I told my apartment maintenance man that I'm a graphic designer, and he called his daughter expecting me to provide her with advice or something, but I'm too socially awkward. TIFU by having an itchy butt for 11 months. I had a vasectomy in January of 2024. A few days after the procedure, my butt started itching uncomfortably and unceasingly. At first, I thought it was a side effect of the procedure. Maybe I was reacting to the bandages. Maybe it was the nonstop sitting as I recovered. Or maybe I itched because I didn't shower for a few days post-op. But I recovered and got back into my normal routine, and the itching continued. I tried everything short of consulting my doctor. It's embarrassing to tell people your butt itches. I started showering twice daily. I outfitted all of my toilets with bidets. I even tried a few different types of creams and ointments. Nothing worked. I Googled my symptoms and got a variety of results. Some sites suggested I might have hemorrhoids, pinworms, or some other butt-related ailment. One helpful forum simply said, "This happens when you turn 40. Your butt starts itching. You just have to deal with it." I resigned myself to having an itchy butt for the rest of my life. Then over the holidays, 11 months into my affliction, I was scratching my itchy unmentionables and I had a thought. When I had my vasectomy, I followed my doctor's instructions and wore some tight briefs for a few days. Those briefs became part of my laundry cycle and I wore them regularly. Looking at their tag, they were 20% spandex. Turns out, spandex is a pretty common allergy. I threw out the briefs and the itching stopped within a few days. I'm now itch-free and I'm never wearing spandex again. I was resigned to the idea that I was going to have an itchy butt for the rest of my life, and now I can live a clear, itch-free life again. TLDR. My butt was itchy for 11 months. Turns out I'm sensitive to spandex.